Today, we are reviewing all of my pre-release Tears of the Kingdom theory videos that I made. Some of these are more recent than others. However, some of them I haven't seen in a few years. I made some of these when all we had to go off of was the sequel to Breath of the Wild is now in development. So we're going to see how wrong one man can possibly be and still put it on the internet. Let's begin. Oh, my capture card still has those issues.
The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2.
Yo. I can't. The mic quality? What? What is this mic quality? When did I upload this? What? Okay, 2019. Oh my god, this is horrible. I am so sorry to the 434 people that watched this.
2 is one of Nintendo's most anticipated games, but I'm not going to bore you guys with details you already know. Here's my idea on how a single feature can make Breath of the Wild sequel even more massive.
Are we gonna keep going?
This
Oh!
idea may already exist, but I haven't seen it anywhere or heard anyone talk about it. If it comes to my attention that someone beat me to the punch, I will credit them in the description and in a pinned comment.
No one beat me to the punch. Oh, whoops, sorry.
The main idea is to turn one of Breath of the Wild's most fun side quests into a main feature. The from the ground up side quests and everything involving Terrytown. And I like to call this feature Rebuild Hyrule.
Oh, yeah.
In case you don't know,
I remember this.
Terrytown.
God, that would have been so cool.
Builds with the help.
So, with the little, like, rebuild planks area all throughout Hyrule and Tears of the Kingdom, it would have been awesome if we could build, like, mini towns almost. Or, like, someone was like, hey, help me build this house. Help me build this stable here. Meanwhile, all we do is kind of help rebuild Lurelin Village. And you get to build your own house. And you put a plank on a roof on a mini stable in Lookout Landing. And that's the extent of rebuilding Hyrule. That's all we got.
Of Link supplying wood and people. Take the outposts, ruined towns.
The people idea would have been sick. It would have actually given a use beyond the Great Fairies to transport people via carts on horse. I don't know why I keep talking like this.
And villages, and even the military force, such as Akala Citadel and Fort Hateno, and rebuild them. This feature can be easily accessible from the start of the game and lasts until the end. Places like outposts will be a nice one-off, military forts would probably be more endgame, and Hyrule Castletown can even span the entire game if done right. These are just some thoughts I've had while thinking of what Nintendo can do to make the same Hyrule interesting again. If you have any idea...
Okay, just an outro. So, that was pre-Sky Island confirmation. And all we knew is that the sequel to Breath of the Wild was in development. Cool idea. I would love to have rebuilt Hyrule Castletown. I would love to rebuild some outposts. However, I feel that the enemies attacking could get super annoying once you have a lot of places rebuilt, because it'll just be, this place is under attack, this place is under attack, this place is under attack, and you're just warping from place to place to place to save what you built. I don't know. I would have loved to have rebuilt more areas than just Lurelin, and using Ultra Hand would have been sick to, like, build the towns in your images. But we didn't get that, unfortunately. Maybe a DLC. Who knows? Maybe I'll review this video one day. And Oh, how wrong could I have been about Tears of the Kingdom DLC? Shut up. Move on to the next segment. Let's hope my mic quality is way better in how Nintendo can improve weapons in Breath of the Wild 2.
One of Breath of the Wild's most controversial features was
It is
weapon
not.
durability. You finally have a sword you love to use, and before you know it, it breaks. Here are some of my ideas on how Nintendo can improve upon this in the sequel.
I'm so sorry to the 58 people who watched this.
I have no shame in admitting that I am in the minority of people who actually enjoy the weapon durability feature.
I
and
still
even
do.
having them break. Before you click away, let me explain myself.
Before you
I'm
click
the
away,
kind of
guys.
person who will find a single weapon that I enjoy and will stick with it for the entire game, which leaves me missing out on a lot of awesome weapons that I'll absolutely refuse to try. I'm also the kind of person who finds a really good item and refuses to use it. There will be a more difficult enemy for me to beat. There will be a harder boss down the line. Then before I know it, I've beaten the final boss and my inventory is stacked full of overpowered items.
Yep.
With the weapons breaking, I was forced to try new things all the time, taking me outside of my comfort zone, and I loved it. I think the weapon durability should stick around, but with some big tweaks. I feel like if they got rid of it, then there would be too many weapons in the overworld, and what would be the point of having more than one lying around? If they got rid of the durability, then I'll just have a full inventory of unbreaking soldiers' broadswords. But if they make it to where there's only one of each weapon, then what about the enemies who use the same weapons? Will they not drop them anymore? Will each enemy have a completely unique weapon? None of these options are viable or even fun to think about. So how can this feature be improved upon? I think at the beginning of the game, the durability system should be exactly the same as the first game. Once the game gets going is when improvements would make the most sense to implement. For this idea, I'm going to steal a few ideas from Minecraft.
This is where my theories
Much
drop
like the
off.
cooking pots stationed around Hyrule, these weapon stations could include things like crafting benches, enchanting stations, and anvils. With crafting benches, we can make our own weapons using materials we have mined ourselves, be that through rocks like in the original
Minecraft
game, or new
stuff.
areas like mines and quarries that can be added in. In the first Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, we see Link and Zelda adventuring underground with an abundance of luminous stone ore deposits around them. Could this new area be a mine? In the bench, we can make over-the-top crazy weapons, or fail, and end up with a weapon equivalent of the dubious food. Enchantment stations.
Technically, there is weapon crafting. However, it's literally, here's a tree branch, here's a rock, glue them together, and you have a hammer.
Can take lesser use items, such as bugs or flowers, to add enchants to our already obtained or crafted arsenal. Enchants can include things like unbreaking, making the weapon last much longer, and sharpness to make the attack power higher, just as two quick examples.
Okay, so there's not enchantments. But hear me out. We have the Rock Octoroks, who can make your weapons stronger, and can make them more durable, and can make them go further when you throw them.
Anvils would take items that the weapon is made out of, and just repair it. The less durability the weapon has, however, the more materials needed to repair it, so you would have to weigh pros and cons of repairing it or just making a new one. The anvil can also have another feature with weapon improvement, with more areas to get mineable materials, an overabundance of rubies, topaz, and sapphires. Adding one of those ores can give it fire, electric, and ice abilities, and will be applicable to every weapon in the game.
Okay, I called that. How did I call that? You can fuse rubies, topaz, and sapphire to your arrows and weapons, and it gives them exactly that. In Tears of the Kingdom, I finally did something right.
The blacksmith can be an additional feature. You could add in outposts and towns like I suggested in my Rebuild Hyrule video, which I will link in the description. I'm sure many people have already thought of all of this, so if you guys know anyone who has, please let me know in the comments.
Bro, I was just... Okay, that's the outro. I was just really, really into my rebuild Hyrule thing. I was like, yeah, this is the thing that this game needs to be, and if it's not, I'm gonna be super disappointed. But, you know, this it may not have been implemented in the ways I said, but besides the repairing of weapons, rock, but besides the continuous repairing of weapons, I wasn't too far off in this video. You can fuse stuff together, you can enchant your stuff with the ruby, sapphire, topaz, and take them to rock for better stats. So, yeah, I was pretty... I was in the ballpark with this video. But we're going to move on to the next video. How? Oh my god, it's a 15-minute and 22-second video. Okay.
I think it goes without saying that a lot of people
Get a new mic.
love The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and rightfully so. It's a gorgeous game. There's something to do at almost every location of the map. You can point your camera almost anywhere and get a breathtaking landscape. Go anywhere, do anything, see it all. But is it actually a Zelda game? Sure, you can look and see some long-standing franchise regulars, Link, Zelda, the Master Sword. There are some people out there who say Breath of the Wild is not a Zelda game. I'm gonna look further into this topic in this video and see if we can fix any problems that arise. I'm someone who's very much on the fence on this debate. I absolutely love Breath of the Wild, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. But on the other hand, I love the entire Legend of Zelda series. I've grown up playing the games, and I love all of the aspects that are in the old ones. I would be disappointed if the only way we could see the classic Zelda formula going forward would be in remakes. But I would also hate to lose the open world, open air, go anywhere and do anything of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
To try to appease everyone, I'm going to look into what Nintendo can do to make the Breath of the Wild sequel, quote, feel more like a Zelda game.
I'm appeasing everyone, right? I'm doing my job. I'm doing good.
I'm kind of building my own Breath of the Wild sequel with my video series so far. So I'm going to reference back to my Rebuild Hyrule idea for this section, which if you haven't seen that, it will be linked in the description. Have classic items return as a reward for rebuilding major areas in the game. For an example, rebuilding the Akala Citadel can reward you with the hookshot, which would make climbing faster and less stamina draining. You could aim like a quarter of the way up a mountain or a building, hook into it, and start climbing from there with full stamina.
Super wrong. I like the premise. But if they were to add that kind of stuff back in, they would be completely overshadowed by the Zonai items. Like, you could just rock it up, or have your hover bike take you to the sky limit in 10 minutes.
It would be cool to have the ocarina to summon a horse, or change the time of day, or summon a storm from anywhere on the map.
Wrong. But how cool would it have been if you could have played a song with the Staple Trotters? Give them a purpose after the Great Fairies.
Returning items can fit into the clothing category as well, such as the Goron and Zora tunics, to help you resist high temperatures and to breathe underwater.
So why would I bring up the Goron and Zora tunics, considering we have the Flamebreaker armor and the Zora armor in the game? But the Zora armor and Flamebreaker armor already do the exact same thing the Goron tunic and Zora tunic do, but better.
Old boots can make a return as well, such as the Pegasus boots to make Link sprint faster for a short amount of time, or the Iron boots, which sink Link underwater, giving a use to the Zora tunic in the game.
I like it, except Pegasus boots, because we make speed up potions. There's that.
I've also mentioned getting rid of shrines, which I'll elaborate further on later. But with no shrines, why not lock some heart pieces and stamina vessels behind overworld puzzles, or have them really hidden in the overworld to reward people exploring really obscure areas?
I like that, but Nintendo thought Koroks were a great idea again. Hey, yo. Love this song.
Breath of the Wild took a new approach with the soundtrack to have a more ambient feeling compared to the epic tracks in previous games. I feel like the approach they took was great to highlight the emptiness and solidarity of Hyrule. I do feel this approach would be great at the start of the sequel, but as Hyrule continues getting rebuilt, the soundtrack can become more prevalent by adding more instruments in and less downtime. Near the end of the game, the soundtrack would be complete and always a part of gameplay. This may seem like a lot, maybe even too.
Okay, shut up. So we do have more music that fits more situations in Tears of the Kingdom. We don't have an ongoing song like I suggested. However, in the dungeons, the more you do, the more the song becomes epic, I guess. And then the final descent down to Ganondorf, the lower you get, the louder the song gets, or the sound, music, whatever. And the more, like, I don't know the words. I make music, I don't know the words. I had laser sight focus on rebuilding Hyrule. I just really wanted that to happen.
Maybe that's too much, but hey, we can dream, right?
We can dream. Dungeons, they came
Shrines
back.
are one of the new ideas added into Breath of the Wild. In addition to shrines, we also received the Divine Beasts. This is what we got instead of traditional dungeons, and while I think they were cool in their own ways, nothing can replace a Zelda dungeon in a Zelda game.
Nothing.
I think shrines should disappear completely. It was fun to
Do
complete
I?
all 120 shrines the first few times I played Breath of the Wild, but it's become more and more of a chore with each subsequent playthrough. As I have previously elaborated, I think rebuilding Hyrule and setting up warp points that way would be a good substitute for.
Take a shot every time I mention rebuilding Hyrule. Okay, take a shot. Apparently I hate shrines and just want them gone entirely. I will admit, I was sad to see the shrines return. I am way happier with the shrines in Tears of the Kingdom than I am the ones in Breath of the Wild, honestly. However, we could have dealt with way less shrines. We didn't need all the cave shrines, and we didn't need all those blessings. We didn't need all of the, what were they called? Proving grounds. A couple proving grounds would have been fine, but there was a lot of proving grounds. I really like the puzzle shrines.
Whether new passages underground appear much like with the mines I mentioned in my weapons video, which lead you to dungeons, or new ones in the overworld, I think it's the most obvious and best choice going forward with Zelda. Personally, I'd prefer overworld dungeons. Give me a fire dungeon in the Death Mountain crater I can only access with the Goron tunic.
Hey yo! I called the fire temple! In Death Mountain Crater! I called the fire temple! Oh man, I do like that. Because I was like, oh, going into a cave. I mean, we didn't know about chasms or the depths yet. I don't even know if we knew about the Sky Islands here. I don't think we did, because my next video in the playlist is WowShane reaction to Breath of the Wild sequel update, and it looks like the one where they revealed the Sky Islands.
The mistakes of the first game cannot be repeated in this game with dungeons. We need unique bosses for each one. They
got
need
'em.
to be discernible from each other at a single glance.
We
Give
did
me
it.
time to explore and not just finding and unlocking terminals. I want sprawling, thought-inducing dungeons. And more than 4.
Okay, so technically, the things in the Tears of the Kingdom dungeons are not terminals. But I am disappointed that there's like, hey, here's 4 to 5 points on this map. Go to them, do the thing. Here's the boss. I didn't like that. So I was wrong. If you want to be super technical, we did get more than 4 dungeons. If you want to count Hyrule Castle, because it follows the same layout as all the other dungeons. Here's like 5 points on the map. Go to them. And then the Construct Factory. Here's 4 points on the map. Go to them. And then walk your ass to the boss. We technically got 6.
The story was Breath of the Wild's weakest point,
Oh,
because it
God.
was completely optional once you're off the Great Plateau. I need reasons to care about why I'm going on this journey. Zelda is saved. Hyrule is reclaimed. Right now, all we have to go off of is the return of Ganondorf, and I want a deep, in-depth reason of why he's back.
Okay. That's the end of that video, as far as I'm concerned. There is a better story. I don't know if we can consider Ganondorf is back after the story that we saw, because this is apparently an entirely different Ganondorf. The memories and story are still completely optional, but it is a way better story than Tears of the Kingdom. The next video on our Remembrance Trail is more recent. 3 months ago. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom tutorial. This was me speculating as to what the tutorial was going to be. As we all know, we got the Great Sky Island. But this was before.
The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom needs a tutorial. Not
Sure
everyone
does.
who picks up the game will have played Breath of the Wild or even a Zelda game before. Breath of the Wild had the perfect tutorial in the Great Plateau, introducing players to the environment, combat, runes, and the free play aspect of the game. How will Tears of the Kingdom top that? Well, it probably won't. There's no need to throw players back into the Great Plateau,
if it did or not.
considering Link won't be emerging.
I don't know if it did or not. I have no idea right now if the Great Sky Island or the Great Plateau is better.
There's no need to throw players back into the Great Plateau, considering Link won't be emerging from the Shrine of Resurrection. So what do? Take it the complete opposite direction of Breath of the Wild. Instead of an expansive yet confined area such as the Great Plateau, just keep it confined. The intro to the first Tears of the Kingdom trailer seems like a great way to throw players into the game. Players learn the movement tools and combat while progressing further into a cave system on Link and Zelda's way to Ganondorf. The whole thing with Ganon reawakening, Zelda falling off the cliff, Link losing his arm and getting the weird green stuff in his arm plays out, and somehow Link gets away. Link would then need to get out of the cave.
Okay, so everything up to that point is kind of true. You learn how to move, you fight a couple keys, and you reach Ganondorf, and Link gets away somehow. However, you do not escape the cave. Raru's arm takes you up to the Great Sky Island, and I was really we'll see later.
And what better time than that to teach Link all of the new abilities his magic arm can do? The magnetism, the reversal of time, whatever else there may be, mixed in with whatever else players need to know before entering the big open world. From that point, everything else can be explained, from the Sky Islands, all of the new towers, and the weird spirals. What do you think? How should Tears of the Kingdom...
Okay, so we start out in the sky and make our way back down to the ground, which I'm cool with because I like the Great Sky. The weird spirals are shrines, again, and everything else does get explained after the Great Sky Island tutorial. Cool. One of the first things we saw when Nintendo was working on an open-world Zelda game was the Guardian. We saw the Guardian before we saw Link's face. The Guardian was the first enemy we saw. It was a focal point in Breath of the Wild's advertisement, and it was one of the first amiibos revealed for the game. So, where are the Guardians? They have been noticeably absent in every trailer or gameplay snippet we have been shown so far. No stalkers, scouts, turrets, or even decayed guardians, which leads me to believe the guardians will not be in Tears of the Kingdom. Super wrong. Super, completely and utterly wrong. We did see one guardian in a trailer. It was the only guardian in Tears of the Kingdom, and it's on top of Hateno Research Lab. If the Guardians are going to be in the sequel, then Nintendo's doing a really good job of hiding them. As of right now, it appears the closest thing to the Guardian that we're going to see are the new Zonai enemies called the Construct. So
They basically replaced the Guardians.
If I had to guess what happened, I would say that Princess Zelda put out an order to have any decayed Guardians disassembled. Before we finish this video, spoiler alert, everything else is wrong, to avoid anything potentially reactivating them. While Knights, the new champions, and or Link went out and defeated any remaining active Guardians. There has been no mention of how much time has passed between the two games, so there has probably been ample time to remove any shred of Guardians across Hyrule. With Calamity Ganon gone, and Ganondorf's power still being contained, the Blood Moons have stopped, and therefore have stopped. The Blood Moons have stopped. The Blood Moons have stopped. No! We don't see them 3 times more frequently now. They stopped! Respawning enemies, including the Guardians. So with a united Hyrulean force focused on the task of eliminating all Guardians, it probably wouldn't take too long to get rid of them all. Maybe that's where all the new vehicle parts around Hyrule came from, is repurposed Guardians. I guess we'll have to wait to find out. Let me know what you got. Cool idea, Guardians being the vehicle parts. We did not know that they were Zonai materials at the time. But, wrong. This was the last theory video I put out before Tears of the Kingdom's release. 2 months ago, I'm worried about Tears of the Kingdom. I am extremely excited for Tears of the Kingdom. Some of the things we've been shown have given me reason to worry. While shrines in Breath of the Wild were fun, they ultimately only resulted in a piece of gear, some weaponry, or a spirit orb. Those are useful, don't get me wrong, but after 120 shrines in the base game and 16 in the Champion's Ballad, they start to become just another thing to do. Don't even get me started on the Divine Beasts.
Don't get me started.
That is my main concern for Tears of the Kingdom. As of right now, we have no idea what the purpose of the Sky Islands or new cave systems are. Okay, so Sky Islands, heavily marketed by Zelda, Nintendo, whatever. Damn near no purpose. Damn near no purpose for the Sky Islands. And this is before we knew the depths. This is before we knew of the depths. All we knew was that there was going to be caves in the game. And we saw all the weird holes with the red malice overflowing out of them. That we now know are chasms, and that's gloom. We did not know this was going to be the depths. We didn't know that those were post holes. We didn't know those were gloom enemies. We didn't know that was the light route right there. We were dumb. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm just saying, we didn't know about the depths yet. And so, we all thought that these were just massive caves. Caves scare me the most. As with the new Ascend ability, it seems like you'll be able to leave them at any point. So maybe they'll hide something super useful at the end of them. But with the amount of caves there appears to be something super useful at the end of the caves. Bubble frogs. So useful.
How many super useful items can they hide? Maybe
Over
a lot of
100?
caves will be interconnecting and have multiple entrances with one big prize at the end. Are
Some
the
of them.
caves going to be replacements for shrines, or the divine beasts even?
No.
I'm not sure I want to make that call yet, as I was really hoping for real dungeons. And I feel
Yeah.
it doesn't fix the problem of all the shrines and divine beasts looking basically the same, because how much can you really do to a cave to make it look unique? We haven't even seen much of the cave insides at all, with only a few seconds in trailers and an entrance in gameplay. Which leads me to my next point, with what even is the point of the Sky Islands?
Pine quests and gumball gotcha machines.
The constructs are there, but is that the only place for them?
No.
I'm sure we've seen some on Hyrule ground in the gameplay.
Good
Are
edit,
the
me.
islands where the Master Sword gets repaired?
Nope.
All of the islands have vastly different shapes and structure. And we've seen puzzles and bosses on the islands.
I thought
Shapes
that
and
this.
structure. And we've seen puzzles and
I thought the Zonai construct, or the. Yeah, that's a construct. I thought that was a boss. We all thought that was a boss when it was first revealed. But that's just the nice construct that gives you the Purapad. Not a boss. However, the Flux construct in the next part.
bosses on the islands. But why? My hope is that each island will have a few things needed to do on them, and that they're not just floating there. I hope that every single island holds a purpose, and that we get rewarded for exploring the islands with more than just constructs. Lastly, what is going on with Hyrule? We've been told the changes are massive, but besides the castle floating, the hieroglyphs, the new structures, what are they going to do to make it different? This game has had at least 4 years of development time, being revealed in 2019 to its release in 2023, so they've had to do something to Hyrule, right? I cannot fathom that they'd have us explore the same Hyrule we've explored countless times over in a brand new game.
Yeah.
I don't need an entirely new Hyrule, but I need new additions to make exploring the same map fun again. Needless to say though, I'm sure all of my worries will be gone when I do finally get to play this game. I'm confident the developers at Nintendo have already thought of all of this and made the sequel to Breath of the Wild as perfect as they can.
Good game. Wrong person.